The Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker is the first 3D Zelda on home console to get an HD re-release, as Nintendo thought that its changes looked most impressive when applying new shaders to the game. However, we're going to have a look at the any % speedrun today, as there are quite a few differences compared to the original game. While the original game takes barely under 4 hours to finish if played really well, the speedrun in The Wind Waker HD is a lot shorter. The current world record holder LINKUS, a well-known speedrunner of the game, provided us with a video and some information on how it's done. The run starts with the creation of a new file. Unlike the first Wind Waker, we can actually skip the intro cutscene in The Wind Waker HD, which makes the run start a lot faster compared to the original game. As always, we start by obtaining the tunic, the telescope, meeting Tetra for the first time, and so on. The run follows the same steps as the normal playthrough, with the exception of a few save warps, which basically means that you save and reset the game, as this is faster than walking to where the game will put you after restarting the file. After getting the spoils bag and arriving in Forsaken Fortress, we finally get to do the first trick, the window jump, which is done by lining up yourself with a stone wall on the left side of Link, roll, and with a full speed jump off the ledge with a good angle you can land in the corner of the window, so you can continue your way up the tower and defeat the guard. This is the only guard that needs to be defeated in order to reach the end of Forsaken Fortress, in which Helmarok will then gently throw us into the water. This puts us to Windfall Island, where we now have to acquire the sail and free Tingle. After getting the sail, we head back to the King of Red Lions, who will then tell us that our next destination is Dragon Roost Island. Here we get the Wind Waker, the item the entire game revolves around. Or at least used to.
Normally, you would have to explode multiple rocks on the left side of the island, and after breaking them all, sidle against the wall over the gap, and then jump down to the ledge where you can explode the final rock and make your way up to the entrance. In a speedrun, however, we side hop to get on top of a small rock inside the ground on the right side of the island, roll off the rock, and with the speed the roll gave us, Link will do a jump and gain enough height to grab the ledge, and you can skip the whole first part. After that, we do a roll and time a jump slash to gain enough height to skip exploding the last and final rock. Here we meet Medley for the first time, hand the letter to Kamali. Nothing unusual really. We head out, talk to Medley, get the bottle, and enter the dungeon the intended way. This continues until we finally get the grappling hook, the key item of the dungeon. And this is where things really start to fall apart for the game. In Wind Waker HD, Link can move around while aiming with an item in first-person mode. For some reason, if Link is walking in a direction and then tries to walk in the opposite direction with the slightest tilt on the analog stick, otherwise known as ESSS positioning, his speed ends up increasing exponentially in the direction he was first walking. This allows Link to reach speed values that are so high, the game will crash if the speed is released too late or charged for too long. This was pretty much the only reason for us to even go into Dragon Roost Cavern, as it is the fastest usable item to obtain, which puts us into first-person mode. From here on, we save warp twice in order to get out of the dungeon and back to the beginning of Dragon Roost Island. Here we use our new item to perform this item slide by loading up speed on the ground and then slowly walking down in the water. This way, we are able to keep the speed in the water and swim to islands we normally wouldn't have access to. On this super swim, we swim from Dragon Roost to Fairy Island, which will grant us a quiver upgrade. An upgrade for an item that we don't even have yet. Keep that in mind, we will need that later.
Normally, to access both of the Fairy Islands that have a quiver upgrade, we need the Skull Hammer to enter them. But by doing a very precise item slide, we're able to clip inside the island and hit the loading zone. You have to be sure to be in a very precise position when you start the item slide, because too little speed and you won't clip the wall, too much speed and you just end up clipping through the wall and end up on the other side of Fairy Island. Only with the perfect amount of speed you clip through and drop straight into the loading zone without either the hammer or the bow. And when we arrive at Forest Haven, we climb up a part of it. Here we start an item slide against a part of the wall. After charging up some speed, we start holding up on the analog stick. Link will now clip the wall and do a jump off a ledge, which kills his speed entirely, and we end up on the inside of the island. From here, we will swim our way to the loading zone, as we will always immediately hit the surface of the water if we are swimming already and hit an area with water above us. After entering the loading zone, we will now see the Great Deku Tree, which is covered in choo-choo jellies. We free him of the jellies and obtain the Deku Leaf as our reward for helping him and in order to rescue Makar, one of the Koroks. We grab the leaf and run off with it to Great Fish Island. Going to Great Fish Island is a special super swim in the way that we have to move Beetle's boat a little so we can access the water without losing our speed and then super swim to Great Fish. Entering Great Fish Island will trigger an event called Endless Night, which is a state in which it is always night, and there is always rain in the whole sea. But that is rather unimportant. More important is the fact that it also spawns the pirate ship near Windfall Island, which is the reason why we wanted to enter Great Fish Island in the first place.
We now super swim from Great Fish to Windfall. This is a special super swim because all parts of the beach are too steep to slowly walk into, so you can enter the water from an item slide without losing the speed. If Link is ever considered falling, you lose all your speed. Also known as a sploosh during a super swim if you go into unloaded water and you fall for a short time before the island loads. So on Great Fish Island, you go behind it where there's a wooden platform in the water. You wait for it to rise up with the water that is about to go down again. After that, you can perform another item slide for a super swim and either enter the water slow enough to keep your speed, or you clip the whole island but still keep your speed and make your way to Windfall. Normally, you need to watch a cutscene with Tetra and the bomb shop vendor to get a password to enter the pirate ship. But by going to the left side of the railing on the pirate ship, climbing up partway inside of the wall, while hanging on a ledge and climbing up, you can perform a 1-frame roll to clip through the wall while holding left. Only 1 frame after doing the roll, you want to pause and release the analog stick so Link doesn't get a jump out of the roll clip, but instead falls down into the railing. From here, we slowly walk so we stay out of bounds, inside the railing, but not too far to the left so we don't fall down. After making our way through the railing, we side hop or jump slash our way into the loading zone, skipping the password, and we can easily get bombs. From here on, things get a little bit more complicated, so we try to simplify everything a little. We super swim back to Forsaken Fortress and head towards the left side of the island, where there is a small ledge we can stand on. Here we can item slide into the wall, which will let us clip through it once we have a certain amount of speed, and swim back onto the island to actually access it.
The next big obstacle is skipping the Phantom Ganon cutscene. The trigger for it extends infinitely into the air and underground, so the only way for us to skip it is to be fast enough to get past it, but not too fast in order to not clip or crash the game. Once we got past that, it's time to perform a door clip to Helmarok, which is once again a very precise trick. Using a metronome to determine how much speed Link currently has, we now have to hold a pixel perfect left angle in order to use the negative speed, which will then clip us into the door, which is pretty hard as the Wii U gamepad doesn't have any notches. Entering the rescue cutscene sets the game to a late game state, which allows us to access Hyrule without having all 3 pearls. However, we first have to beat Helmarok. We do another item slide, which lets us run all the way up backwards, and we are even so fast we can get past Helmarok before the fight even starts. Nintendo tried to perform a little fix here, as this was possible with the Deku Leaf in the original game already, but I guess it wasn't enough. With Helmarok waiting for us to smash its head with a hammer we never obtained, we clip into the ground and make our way to Ganondorf. Oh, I said beat Helmarok. Well, never mind. As we now enter the Ganondorf cutscene, the game automatically gives us the Master Sword as we're meant to have it at that point already. After escaping from Forsaken Fortress once again, we can now go to Hyrule, and here is where it all comes together. We go to the other side of Hyrule, which has a barrier waiting for us. This barrier can only be destroyed by the fully powered up Master Sword. But who wants to destroy it? Let's get into the details first though.
The barrier consists out of 2 parts. A wall that is only there to knock Link back, and a solid part that is meant to stop anything trying to move past it. The wall extends infinitely up and down, and is also shaped in a circular way with Hyrule in it. You can't get above it, can't really get below it, and also not just float past it. The only way to actually get past the wall is by clipping through it. However, as there are 2 parts, this procedure is a little more complicated than one might think at first. First, we need to get into the part of the barrier that is meant to knock us back. By getting into it and pulling out the Wind Waker at the right time, we can cancel this effect. Basically, any item that makes Link invisible and triggers a cutscene works. But the Wind Waker is the fastest item here. Now we need to get past the solid part of the barrier. Doing this requires us to get a very, very precise angle. So precise, you have a room of error of about 0.1 degree. Or to be more precise, 15 units within a range of 0 to 65,535. Once that angle is kept, we need to perform an item slide for about 1.5 seconds, release, hit up, then left immediately and tap the LZ button. If done right, we made it past the barrier and item slide our way to Ganon's tower. We can use another item slide to get on top of the door of the Forest Trial. Here we can drop another bomb close to the ledge, perform a backflip, and use the DQ leaf to re-grab the ledge on which the bomb lies. Doing this with the right timing and positioning, we can clip through the wall, use the DQ leaf again, and skip the trials altogether. Here we play the game normally for a moment again, until we reach Phantom Ganon to obtain light arrows. After this, we get the Puppet Ganon. Almost done. We have the fully charged Master Sword and the Mirror Shield, as we were meant to have it at this point anyways. Luckily, Puppet Ganon doesn't require a whole lot of items to be defeated.
After defeating all phases and Puppet Ganon altogether, we can use the rope to climb up the tower so we can finally use the grapple hook, followed by the hookshot. Wait, we never collected the hookshot. And this is where it gets tricky. We lack a majority of items, one of which is needed now in order to proceed. We damage ourselves down to a quarter heart and perform a trick called Zombie Hover. But before doing so, we grab 2 pots containing a fairy. We place these right before the final platform and move a little away so we can perform the Zombie Hover. This is done by placing down a bomb and killing ourselves. However, before the death cutscene can start, we have a few frames to perform an action. We will use this to perform a jump slash, which will lift us in the air shortly before cancelling it again, as we are meant to be dying. Doing this repeatedly will give us height and the opportunity to reach any platform if we find some way of healing ourselves. And this is where the pots come into play. Right before dying, we shoot the pots, releasing the fairies in them. We hover over them with 0 health and the game trying to kill us. And with lots of luck, one of the fairies will now fly into us, recovering all our health, making it possible to hit the ground and ultimately enter the last loading zone. The loading zone that brings us to Ganon. But as the game gave us all the items we need at this point, we can now defeat Ganon the normal way and finish the game. And if done right, this only takes up 1 hour and 22 minutes, which is a stunningly fast time to complete such a great game. And you still get to see quite a bit of it. Thanks a lot to LINKUS for helping us make this video. Make sure to check out his Twitch channel in the channel description if you want to catch him running the Wind Waker HD, as he's not only doing any percent speedruns. Also, thank you for watching this week's video. Subscribe if you liked it, as we're uploading a video every Friday. Need more content? Check out our videos about speedrunning, beta footage, or game design.